right, good morning and welcome everybody to today's open forum. Today we're going to talk about the market a little bit. We're going to talk about some financing contingency issues that I've been seeing you guys having, and some other challenges. A lot of them still related to compensation, and we're going to talk about a few marketing things that I continue to delve into this AI and into some of these things, and it's unbelievable what you can get from it. And I'm continually amazed. I'm going to share some of that stuff with you guys as well. That I think things that you can do, you'll be amazed how much you can learn in a very short period of time with that. So let's talk about the market a little bit. What are you guys seeing? Please give me a, Tammy, what are you seeing? You're always good for, you're on mute though.
Sorry, I was on another screen looking, so I couldn't even find the, I'm always a good one for this.
Just tell me what you're seeing out there. Not any pickup at all, or you said last week, I guess the showings had slowed down a little bit for you?
Oh, actually, it's kind of picked up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit.
That's what I'm seeing over
and I've got some things in the pipeline that will be coming on in buyers. So
yeah, so I'm going to share my screen. What we're seeing on the macro, and thank you for that. I love the anecdotal stuff because that's what you're seeing. But on the macro, you're seeing a reasonably good amount of new listings. I'm going to blow this up a little bit for you. A reasonably good amount of new listings. Look at those price decreases. I don't think I've ever seen the price decreases in the 5 digits. That's crazy, but we don't see, and only 900, literally 8% as many increases as decreases. But that's, I mean, obviously you don't ever see as many increases, but the market's been slow for properties that aren't moving. They're not moving. And back on the market, let me see, sold 7,000 sold. We're getting a little bit more inventory than what we have. You see new listings are more than the solds. The pendings are right around the solds. Back on market. So that's what we're seeing. Canceled and withdrawn numbers are pretty high. Those are people mostly giving up, so, or deciding to do something else with it. So yeah, the market's still slow overall. We're still got tons of inventory relative to how we have been in the last 8 or 9 years. So that's what we're seeing. I am seeing you guys have an uptick in showings, but not a huge one. And our sales have been good for 2 months in a row now. So, I mean, relatively good. Not good for 2 or 3 years ago, but good for the last year and a half or so. So that's what we're seeing on our end. Daryl, what do you have?
Nothing. Trying to keep busy. Yeah, lots of listings. Unfortunately, a lot of people aren't calling me for some reason, even though I'm doing all kinds of neighborhood things. Yeah, it's you know, it is what it is. I did put in an application, just to not to go off course or anything. I put an application for myself into Good Samaritan Mortgage, and they actually did a really good job. I was looking at a DSCR loan for a single family house, which, to remind everybody, that's when they pull your credit and they check your assets, make sure you have 20% down, and they make sure that the rental will pay a little bit more than what the mortgage, the PITI plus the association, because this house had an association fee. As long as those numbers, as long as the PITI number, actually the rental number is a little bit higher, then you're pretty much approved, like 1.2%. So super easy process. They gave me a pre-approval in like 1 hour. So it was good. First time I worked with them. Well, almost worked with them.
Awesome. Yeah, they've done a good job. He did I don't know if they ever did it, but he did a thing for Carissa one time on something, and she was real impressed with him too. So that's good. So what else are you guys seeing in the market? Bonnie says she has 3 listings and no showings. I know it's been slow for most listings right now. It is, And it seems like the ones who have, we've seen multiple offers in some places, and other places absolutely nothing. Natalie, you might be unmuted.
There we go. I'm going to beat the open house bandwagon drum here. Had an open house on Sunday and had 9 people, 6 of those represented by agents. So I notice agents are sending their buyers to open houses. But yeah, a pretty good turnout, I would think. And a lot of them were ready to go, qualified.
I wonder how many of these, I doubt more agents are like sending them. They're probably just going like they always have, but they realize now that they signed an important document.
Right.
So they're telling you about it. I wonder how many of these before, you guys all had, because you would call me crying about it. You all had, and when I used to preach to you guys for the first 8.5 of my years here to use the buyer brokerage agreement before they made it mandatory. I wonder how many in the past that have just stumbled into your open houses and that you've gone ahead and sold that actually were working with an agent, just never mentioned, the agent never noticed or realized or made a big deal about it. I bet that's happened quite a bit before this buyer brokerage agreement was so prevalent, and they had to be aware of this, because you guys, when they make them that, you guys are probably explaining to them now, that means if you go to an open house, if you go to a new home builder, if you go wherever, once they sign that buyer brokerage agreement, they still have to pay you. Right?
Yep.
So that's if they decide to buy the neighbor's house and you had nothing to do with it, after they sign that agreement with you, you still do a 3% commission if they buy anything with or without you. So I think that people are just more aware now to tell you, yeah, and of course you're going to ask also now, because you probably were before and you should have been always, but you're going to ask for sure now, right? So that's have you been working with anybody? Have you signed anything with anybody? Which what you're always were supposed to ask, but now everybody's going to ask it. So I wonder how much of that went on before, because I don't think a lot of, and I could be wrong, but I think especially in this day and age where we have to prove what great buyers agents we are, I don't think people are saying, yeah, just go on to that open house without me. I mean, they might on a Sunday, but I bet there's a lot more people just telling you now that they're working with somebody. The ones who may have said, kind of, we whatever, but we didn't sign anything. Yes, Natalie.
Got another question. I received an offer, and the buyer's agent had put that they wanted 2% or whatever the listing agent is getting. And in my, and the listing agreement that I have was seller broker to buyer broker, where the buyer's agents actually, I was doing 2.5. So did he just screw himself out of that 2.5 because he put 2%? I'm taking less. I'm taking 2. So
yeah, well then yes, of course he did.
Yeah. No,
that's
that.
The dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's none of his business what you're getting. You can be getting 5% or 1%. What if it was your own house you were selling, not paying yourself anything? So yeah, you can have exactly what I'm getting.
Yeah, it wasn't very smart.
We can take that extra 0.5% then, right?
Who can?
Natalie. Because they're doing, she was doing 2.
The seller would have to agree to that. Well, yeah, okay. So
the total amount would be reflective of.
Did you do 4.5 and then 2.5?
Right.
Okay. So yes, legally, yes, because what that paperwork says is that they have authorized her to split her commission. It doesn't say she has to. It says they're authorizing her to offer the other side that much. So yes, she could. But now you come into, if she leaves now it looks at the HUD and she got 2.5% and he got 2%. So, but he can't negotiate. He can't negotiate on what you get. He needs to, I would have him turn that back in and say, do you want 2%? Just write 2%.
Yeah. He put on other 2% buyer agent commission or an amount equal to the listing agent's commission.
Or that's, he didn't say the higher of those two amounts.
No, or an amount equal to the listing agent's commission.
Great. What an idiot. Okay. So don't make up your own rules, guys, and put stupid stuff like that. Because first of all, you don't know what the listing agent's getting.
Right.
And he didn't say the higher of those two things.
Right.
It has nothing to do with it.
2% or the amount equal to.
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys have, Natalie, you had one that you did for 1% for a repeat guy who had $1 million listing recently, right? I mean, it happens. So that's ridiculous. That's really dumb that he did that. But there's, I mean, just give them 2%. Just say the seller has agreed to 2%. That's all I would say. But he doesn't get to negotiate on whatever you're making. It's none of his business. And he doesn't get to negotiate on that. Any other questions on that? On the market, comments on the market? Chad?
I had two listings that were on the market for almost a year, and then another listing, and all three of them just are closing within like a month of each other now. So, and that's all I'm out to say. You know, she had a deal with lost out multiple offers in Ocala. I think Ocala might be picking up just because we're, you know, average home price here is about $250 compared to, you know, everywhere else out there. So I think people are just looking for more affordable right now, and definitely getting more buyer interest out here in the area. So it's maybe it's just dependent on the area and pricing more than anything else.
It could be. You know, Chad, what I've noticed is that the more expensive luxury type listings around $1 million and stuff are still, I mean, they never sell quickly, but they're selling reasonably well. People with money have money and they don't really care that much about that. But people who are, so it's the really cheap stuff and the really more expensive stuff that are selling the best of anything right now. I think you're really onto something. I think the outer areas, what we consider the more rural areas, are going to be, that's going to start as people need to move and they want to get out of their rentals or they want to get out of whatever, and they got to be able to afford something. And so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm also seeing more, speaking of DSCRs, I'm seeing more DSCRs on the loan side as well compared to, you know, conventional or FHA. I think more people, you know, mom and pops are getting into the investment game because they see that things are turning into rentals more than owning, you know, just in general in the market. And yeah, there's DSCRs that go down to 15%, up to 25%, depending on what your ratio is compared to the rentals in the area.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Cool. Well, thank you, Chad. For those who don't know, Chad is a lender and a realtor and a title company. He's got all that going on. Christina.
Yeah, so I've seen an uptick in listings, like calls for listings, like more listings. And if you're not in touch with your past customers, I would say start reaching out more regularly, because a lot of people are starting to, I think, want to sell for whatever reason. So that's pretty good. And same thing like what you're saying. I have some listings where I'll get, you know, my last two sales is like, I got one that had 4 offers within a week and another one that took a month, but then we got 2 offers. So I think it matters like what marketing you're doing too. But overall, I'm seeing it be a little bit slower. And I'm seeing some weird stuff too. I have a cash buyer and we're getting something for her today, but we had a couple of properties where we were negotiating and, you know, they had a price, we submitted our offer, they wanted to meet somewhere in the middle. And then during the negotiation, they're just like, I had 2 of these properties that they were possibly interested in. And they're like, well, we're just gonna rent it. And then they just pulled it off. One, we placed an offer on it and there was somebody else that was offering on it as well. And then so that's kind of weird. I've seen some people where if they just own it outright, and they're not getting the number that they want. So I think there's still that portion of sellers out there that are still unrealistic and thinking that the prices are like 2021 and they can just keep adding to the number that their neighbor sold for it. And if they don't get that, then they're just putting it back on the market and renting it. But that was just wanted to share my little market feedback with y'all.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Christina. And yes, people will do that. You have, and I see that in our property management stuff. They'll throw them on the market. I throw some under my name on the market under there. But it's people who want, you know, they'll ask how much this is worth, and I'll tell them, and they'll say, well, throw it on for 40 grand more. This is what I'd like to get out of it. And they just want to throw it on the market. And that there's people out there doing that. Now, you couldn't do that 3 years ago because it was sold. So, and some people were doing that 3 years ago, just throw it out there at some stupid number and it would get it, you know. But now in this market, obviously it's not. So that's fantastic. Cindy, I'm going to read this out of the chat. Oh, I missed a couple of things. We offered both listener no concession. We still lost. They had multiple offers. Okay. Let's go to Cindy. I already started. I submitted an offer for a single family house, an additional dwelling unit, and the seller wanted $20,000 above his listing price. Apparently went under contract for $25K above their listing price. Wow, fantastic. That's a good story. It's happening. My team is experiencing slow in residential and commercial. We're supplementing with distress REO foreclosure on commercial and also doing work with conservation easement sales and exchanges. Oh, good for you. Fantastic. Brian, you can tell me more about that if you want, if you're working with a environmental contractor or engineer or not, what you're doing there with that. But that's a good way to do business. Let's go into, unless you guys want to talk more about the market, let's go into this financing period. I want to talk to you guys about this because we're getting some questions on this. And I want to talk to you guys about this. Let me see if I can blow it up. Yes, I can here. Okay. This is what you guys see all the time. This one is, usually you guys leave this blank or you write 30. For whatever reason, they put 25 on this. This is a real contract that one of our agents had on the property. I'm not going into any, you won't see any details. The contract is contingent upon within 25 days after the effective date, loan approval period. So you have a loan approval period, guys. That is your time to get approved or not approved. There is no, I'm still seeing people write loan commitments and this and that. There's not a thing. You do not have to provide a denial letter if you are not approved within that 25 days, in this case, 30 days normally, then you can walk from the deal. Okay. Or you can say, we're not approved yet, but we feel great. We're still going forward. That's up to the buyer, of course, because it's their deposit hanging out there. Or you can say, we do not have approval and we do not feel good about it. And we're going to have to back away from this because we don't want to lose our deposit. But if that's the case, you also, they still want the house, you might want to ask for, look, I know it's been 25 days. We're going to need like 8 more days to figure out if this is, we should know something by next Friday or whatever it is you can negotiate for if they want to, if the seller will agree to that. So just to be clear, after this day, in this case, it's 25 days. After this 25 days, the seller on day 26, 27, and 28, the seller can back out of this deal. Okay. If you did not let them know. If you did not let them know, you did not tell them anything, you're the buyer, let's say you're the buyer's agent. You did not tell them anything, they can back out of this deal and you get your deposit back. So in this market, you don't really have to worry about that. In a seller's market, you do kind of, you guys remember those days when they would take your offer and they'd be like, oh, we'd love for you to walk. We got a better one. That's the way it was going back then. Now it's not as big of a deal. So if you're the buyer's agent, though, you let them know within those 25 days whether or not you have it. That is how it works, guys. If you keep going after that and you ignore this date and you keep on going, you're assumed to be in the deal still and your deposit is at risk. You have no more contingencies after this. Okay? Your client's deposit is at risk. And the rest of the stuff, you guys, is standard. I'm not going to go all into it because I could go on and on. Yes, Ann.
Yes, is it include appraisal if something wrong with appraisal?
That is separate. You better know that within those 25 days. That will mean you were not approved. If the appraisal comes back $1 short, you can say we were not approved. You do not have to negotiate. You can negotiate. You don't have to. You don't have to cover the shortfall. If it comes up $1 short, that is not the deal we agreed to. We did not get approved for the deal that we agreed to. That is the most important thing.
So that's something different.
Yeah, the appraisal is part of this. No, you can't get out later after that 25 days because the appraisal didn't come back.
Okay, so in that 25 days, the appraisal answer have to be done in that 25 days.
Yep, it's usually 30 days. But yes, this one,
okay.
For whatever reason, they made it 25. They probably had a quick closing.
Yeah, because I have a contract coming in. I told them I give them 20 days. So hopefully.
Okay. Well, there you go. They better get on it.
Yep. Thank you.
Well, it should be done in this day and age with the lenders not being super busy. It should be able to be appraised in a reasonable amount of time. Any questions? I don't want to go too much more in the weeds on that. Any questions on that? Okay, awesome. I love it. But you guys don't play around with these dates, is what I'm telling you, because I've seen this. We've had a couple of cases this week. People do not understand this. People on the other side either do not understand this. The difference now is, guys, they also can, the listing agent can also contact your lender, and the lender has to tell them things. They didn't have to before. It wasn't an option before. Let me see. I got something in the chat. If you could clarify, please. Cindy, what do you, I don't know which part you want clarified. So you have 25, typically 30. This one, I picked a contract at random and it had 25 written here. Typically 30 is your loan approval period. You have two things that can happen. You either have loan approval or you don't, but you have 3 responses you can give. You can give them, we have loan approval and we're going forward. Okay. That's the only one you can give them if you have loan approval. If you don't have loan approval, you can say, we do not have loan approval and we're backing out, taking our deposit. Send a cancellation and release. Okay. If you don't have loan approval, but you still want to go forward, the buyer still wants to go forward, the lender's telling you everything you want to hear, they just want to go forward, then you can say, we don't have loan approval, but we're still going forward and your deposit is still at risk. Okay. The clear to close is not loan approval. Loan approval is still going to have conditions. There's always going to be conditions. Let's say you close in 45 days, but your approval, you get it on day 27. It's going to have a condition that you don't lose your job, that you don't do this, you don't do that, right? So you can even get it sooner than that before the appraisal, and it's one of the conditions is going to be that the house appraises. So that's all part of it, and there's going to be conditions all the way till the end. There's always going to be a little bit of risk. They could get fired 2 days before the closing, and they're supposed to report that, and that blows up their deal. And guess what? They lose their deposit. Not the seller's fault, and they've had it tied up all this time, and they had their loan approval, it went by. There are always going to be risks, and your buyers need to be aware of that. So don't go in there with big deposits unless you're really confident, or they negotiate for it. Yes, Tammy.
Well, I don't know who would wait 25 days for a loan approval. Normally I know you put it on here, but that's something that you're going to do way before 25 days because you're going to have to meet all the conditions, Right.
Mm-hmm. Right. But there's always going to be conditions after that 25, 30 days, whatever. It's always going to be conditions remaining. I mean, you can't lose your job between now and closing.
Correct. But you will look at those conditions and determine if you can meet them or not, to determine if you think you can go forward.
Yep.
Somebody just commented, so I wouldn't, I'm neurotic about all this stuff. I want it done like ASAP. I want all the conditions met, so.
Yeah. Cindy's had things fall through. Yeah, we all have, Cindy. They might go buy a new Lexus. They might lose their job. Something pops up. They couldn't get that form that they were supposed to, some stupid form from, how underwriters are. There's always
divorce forms, child support, junk, all this.
And the ex won't sign off on some old thing that they owned 15 years ago, and all this stuff. It's crazy. Yes, Chad.
As a loan guy, I also need to say, if everyone can remind their people not to pay the deposit with cash they pulled out of a vault or something, it actually needs to be sourced. So have it just be in the account, for a little bit before they, get the cashier's check or the wire on there, because I've had people try and do that, and then, it comes back and bites them in the butt at the end of it. They don't like cash coming out of nowhere on this. Just wanted to throw that out there because I've seen loans get hacked to pieces because of that.
Thank you, Chad. But right now we're busy bashing lenders. So, no, I really do appreciate that. That's a good point. And that does happen quite a bit. All right. So that's it. That's the financing period. Any questions on that before we go on? Good. Let's go. Yes, Ann.
Yes, I have question on my coming up listing. I may list the property about 7 partial ID with another agent, commercial agent in Georgia. How can I put him a second listing agent on this deal? Is it 2.2 million?
You can't put him on the MLS unless he's a member of the MLS. It can't pull anybody's name if it doesn't know them, if they're not a member.
He's referred this deal to me as he's.
Well, if he's referred it, then he's done. Then he gets a referral.
No, but he wants to be part of the listing. The owner want him to be part of it since he have more experience.
If he wants to mentor you on it or be part of it for you, that's fine. You guys can work out whatever you want. If you want to give him a 50%, but legally you give him a referral. So that's how it works legally, guys. You give him a referral. If he wants to work on it with you, that's fine.
But not on the MLS.
But he doesn't get any credit for it anywhere, other than with that 50% referral, whatever. Let's say you guys are going to split it 50-50. You would give him a 50% referral, or how much ever he's getting. You give him a referral form for that. He can't legally take any role in Florida on the paperwork or anything else because he's not licensed in Florida.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, and he definitely can't be on the MLS. He can be a friend to the owner and a mentor to you, but he can't have any official role in the deal. Okay, and same if you try to do it in Georgia, can't do it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the marketing thing. I want to switch to this one. Here we go. Okay, so I just went on to Grok, and one of the things that you'll learn when you learn about how to do AI, if you guys have done this or not, I don't know, but a good way to start is to tell it to take the role of something. And you can do this with OpenAI, that's the same with ChatGPT, all of them. Take the role of a social media content creator is what I told them. That's what I told Grok. All right, stepping into the role of social media content creator. I'm not going to read this word for word because it's long, but ready to craft engaging, shareable, and online trend content. Let me know what you need. So it's going to ask you questions. And this is where you give it all the information it needs to do this. So which platforms do you want it on? What's the vibe or the purpose? Who's the target audience? Want a specific format, etc. Fun and quirky, professional, polished, inspirational, you name it. All right, so here's a little tip and trick. When you hit something and you were trying, like I was trying to answer their 5 questions all at once, but once you hit return, it doesn't, I was going to do lines. Once you hit return, it sends it. You enter, it's gone. So Instagram and TikTok, that's all I got to say before it started just bombarding me with this stuff. And that's all I said for it. I didn't even tell it what I do. And it goes to promote my real estate business. I'm a realtor. So this is for you guys to punch in there, right? I've just now answered their second question. Awesome. Let's create some fire content to promote your real estate business on Instagram or TikTok. And I haven't even told it whether to be professional or quirky or anything like that yet. Strategy overview. Look at all this stuff you get for this. I'm just going to scroll through it real quick. Look at all the ideas and stuff it has. And I still haven't answered all of its questions. Strategy overviews, content ideas. Now's the time to buy or sell, educational and trendy. And here's a video script for it. 5 mistakes first-time home buyers make. It's even giving you, guys, it's giving you everything, even the mistakes. All this stuff. Very easy. Very, very easy. First-time buyer, don't make these mistakes. I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Drop a house in the comments if you're ready to buy. Right? Action items. It's a call to action. It's doing everything. And if you want it to do more calls to action, you can put that in there. Build relatability by showing a day in your life, fueling up for a day of house hunting, blah, 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 right? Highlight a listing with a fun, trendy twist to grab attention. You guys see all this stuff. You guys do this. Do not be, we've talked about this before, when you're promoting yourself, do not worry about your hair or how you look, your face or your voice or any of that stuff. Get out there and do it, or starve. That's your choices right now. And videos are a great way to do this. But do whatever you want. You can ask one of these AI things to give you a different way to market yourself. But I gave it social media content creator. Next step, personalization. You want to include your name, broker specific listing, share details. I'll customize the captions and scripts. Look, it wants to do this stuff for you. Tell your city, tell me your city or niche for hyper local content. Need help with image, video ideas, or editing tips? I can suggest apps or styles. More ideas, market update, client testimonial. Just ask. So it says, do you want me to do you want to run with? Is this something you want to run with, or do you want to create something else, a client success story or myth busting? Let's do myth busting. Let's see what kind of myths we have. Well, it's just going to go on here. Think you know the home buying game? Let's talk myths. You need 20% down to buy. Myth number one. Guys, it's giving you everything you need. Literally everything that you need. The market's too hot to buy. Sorry, that's not funny. You don't need a realtor. A myth. Got questions? DM me. Perfect, right? This is the kind of stuff it's giving you everything that you need. So can't tell us you're not creative. You can't tell us you don't look good. You don't sound good. You don't whatever, because these can also be just videos with words without your face or your voice. It's better with your face and your voice, but it can just be the words. The name of this pack, just Google Grok AI. Just Google Grok AI. You can also use Google Chat GPT or Grok AI. And Chat GPT is going to take you to something called openai.chat or something like that. And you just talk to it. Yes, Daryl.
There was a billionaire, I think last week or something, had an article, and he said, maybe it's Mark Cuban or something. He said he would take as many AI classes now that he possibly could fit in the rest of his life. And I thought that was really interesting because he said everything is going AI and will, no matter what business you're in. And it was really interesting just to hear him go on about it. You know, like, dang, that's I consider him to be kind of smart. You know, he's smarter than some of the other ones.
He certainly knows technology, and I think this is like the beginning of the internet. It's a whole new, it's internet 2.0. It's just a whole new thing. It's not a trend that's going to go away at all. It really is amazing. And I mean, this is the tip of the iceberg. I'm they say, well, you use 10% of your brain or something. I probably use 4% of mine. I don't know, but that's what I feel like this is. Like I'm using 1%, less than 1% of its brain for this stuff. I mean, I just feel like you could learn more and more and more. I don't think that Mark Cuban or anybody else could ever learn enough about this. I mean, that's the whole design of it, is that it teaches itself. So even the guys who created this, the geniuses who created AI stuff, it's already gone beyond what they can learn. It's really crazy. Yes, Christina.
Yeah, I think, and I was just listening to, there's I think it's called Team iOS. It's like this, there's a CRM that I use called Follow Up Boss, and they have a podcast. For some reason, they had a bunch of Orlando people all on one podcast, and it was interesting to hear everybody's opinions regarding AI. It was about AI. So, I mean, I agree. I think it's not a trend. It's here to stay. But like I forget, they had 4 people, and they had one of them on there that was like, AI is going to completely replace the realtor in 5 years. And I disagree. And then, some other people disagreed as well. I think it's just something that we can use to enhance the experience for people and to, cut out hours wasted on stuff that maybe we could automate. But I saw one of the agents, they had like team leaders and then they had the agents. And one of the agents was saying, before he sends an email to somebody, he runs it through Chat GPT to write. So I don't know. I think it's great. And I think it's definitely worth learning about and exploring and using where you can. But also like, they were talking about listing descriptions where sometimes people were just putting stuff into Chat GPT and just cut. It's like you gotta still, you gotta still take a look at what it's spitting back out at you, like some listing descriptions, or it's like where you can go, oh, okay, that's obviously AI, or it doesn't make sense, or so I don't know. I like it. I think it's interesting. I think some people are like, I'm not. It's faster for me to do some stuff than it is for me to put it into AI. So I think, another person, and I don't know if this is like too deep in the weeds, but like I had a column in the Observer. It's a paper here locally. So I had that column for 10 years. So I had somebody that was helping me with some marketing materials. So we were writing, some lead magnets, some guides, relocation guides, that kind of stuff. And so we wanted to have the AI write it in my voice, so I'm not having to write everything. So I just sent her a link to all my articles, or you can upload like your voice into an AI. And then, so it's a little bit more, just a tip, like you can upload like a knowledge base of like your content, or if you've written anything, or if you've made videos, and then they can produce content in your voice just to make it like a little bit less impersonable.
That's really cool. What do you? I first of all, I don't know how, but I mean, I don't know. Like I said, we don't know anything, right, about where this is going. I don't know how they could completely replace a realtor.
I think they can. Yeah, I mean, like not in 5
It
years.
can't show a house. It can't do. I mean, for now, who knows? But for now, it can't show a house, and it can't relate like a person can. So
They can't be the inspector, they can't answer the questions, you know what I mean? You'd have to have so many aspects of the deal in Chat GPT I agree, I don't think they can replace us.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought like there was one of the teams like Ken Posick, and he's got a big team, and he was talking about like, hey, I find the same thing because I'm all referral based, pretty much like 90% of my business is referral. But like people, even if they can find it there, they still want to go, okay, well, explain it to me, or what's your lived experience, or hey, the AI doesn't know which house is the cat pee house. It smells like cat pee. But if you're an agent that works like Daryl, and you're exclusively, or not exclusively, but you're really in Williamsburg all the time, Daryl's gonna know. Like I was showing houses in Williamsburg, and I'm like, I might call Daryl and ask his opinion. So it's like AI is not gonna. So I agree, and I think it's like people want a personal experience, and it's generational too, right? It's definitely not a trend, but it's like the boomers. I mean, like. If I send anything AI to my mom, I mean, God bless, she's gonna be like, what, what's happening? But I have a guy now, and it's fascinating. I was talking to Ryan about him, where, and Chad GPT did try to get him to convince me to commit tax fraud, which I'm not gonna do, IRS, if you're listening. But like, this kid is 26 and he puts everything into Chat GPT to the agreements, everything. So it summarizes everything for him. And then, he was trying to ask me for something, and it's like, well, I can't do that. But his generation, it's like, it was surprising to me. Like, and now we have a relationship and he trusts me. But initially he was automatically trusted the AI, versus me. And so I had to like earn that trust. Some people would rather hear it from a person. It says, it's still, I think, very like generational. It's interesting.
probably. Juan.
Hey guys, Ryan, something that I heard in a webinar, and it might help you or not, but you do a lot of videos every Wednesday, right? So this guy had a lot of videos, and he downloaded the transcription of all the videos, dumps it in a place, and then creates a chat that says, like, for example, the day that we spoke about, and you just type that, and then it will tell you, because nobody's going to go through 50 videos just to see which video was for what type of thing. So I thought that was interesting. It creates like a table of contents of all the videos, and it can just tell you video 37, this is the date, minute 35 or something like that. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and the other thing that I've been using a lot, I don't know if you guys do, but when I take something serious, I think you see where it says deep research or deep search. I don't know if you guys already went through that, but that goes beyond just the Google opinions or the Google, or what's happening from the web. It does a deep dive into whatever topic you want. And I find that and I always end up, just last thing, I always end up saying, don't give me BS, don't agree with me with everything I say, give it to me objectively, because ChatGPT has a tendency of, oh, you're right. And sometimes you're not right, but it has that tendency to make you feel that everything you ask is yes, the answer, right? So when you put that type of line, it recognizes that you want it from a legit source, not just from opinions. So just sharing.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, this one, I just scrolled down a little bit more. It's given alternative myths too. If you didn't like the first ones, you can't buy a home with bad credit. The truth is there are programs for lower credit scores. Spring is the only time to sell. Every season has buyers. You should always list your home high. Overpricing can scare buyers away. Open houses don't work anymore. Natalie can tell you they still attract serious buyers. So this is great stuff. And I appreciate all the input on that. I don't think it's going to take our jobs. I think even if it is going to take our jobs in 5 years or 10 years, I think right now you need to use it to get ahead of you, whoever's out there. Because other agents are using it. Like you will recognize of those of you who do go through reels of other realtors, which I think you should do. I think you should follow other realtors, even in other areas and stuff. I think that probably is the best, even in other areas, and see what they're doing. And some of these things you'll see they're using these. They're using these exact prompts, or these exact myths and busts of myths. And that's perfectly fine. So, but these are great ideas for content and things like that. Daryl, you should be making content about your trash picking up. I don't know if you are or not, but you should be. You just need somebody to film you or film yourself.
I just added on some this morning.
Awesome.
I think I already got what, 10 likes or something.
Yeah, well, I saw your one where you're sharing your steps, and so
Yeah,
more
that's
garbage
what I
means
do.
more steps or whatever.
That's what I do. I don't want to make it salesy, so I just show I actually show the litter that I've picked up. I show my picker upper, my what you call it?
Yeah.
Picker upper. And I tell people how many steps and how many miles and what streets I went down, and just to get hyper local. And you're right, Christina. AI is not going to replace us because we know super hyper local stuff. Like who was saying about you were saying about the cat pee house. AI is not going to know that.
Right.
And like downtown, the condos, each condo is totally different. And other people, like even the agents out in like Windermere that's selling the condos downtown, showing the condos downtown, some of them, half of them don't even know how to get in the freaking condos in the first place. You have to be hyper local to know exactly what to do and where to go and what floor the pool's on and what floor the gym's on, and there's a lot to know local.
Yeah. Yes, agreed. And people want to, I think people still, I mean, I think it's like, I see it more of a hybrid, I don't think that it's going to eliminate us. It's just going to enhance us and maybe eliminate like redundant tasks and stuff. But a lot of people, I think most people still want to talk to a person.
Probably.
Hopefully.
Hey, Daryl, what's the name of the downtown condo? Was it like Solaire or something like that?
Yeah, Solaire the Plaza.
The Plaza?
Solaire at the Plaza.
Okay.
It's actually a 30-story building, but the 30 stories is the bedroom upstairs on the corner penthouses. See, not a lot of people would know that.
Nope.
That's pretty cool. What are the penthouses going there? I don't have to check what the.
It depends on the square footage.
I just saw one penthouse downtown today by chance, 4 million.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, B at Metro has one for 2 million right now. I think it's 5,500 square feet, 4-bedroom, 4-bath.
So I meant to change the subject when I asked AI about, can you tell me about the amenities is what I meant to put, but I just put amenity. It created a myth busting thing about Solaire at the Plaza. I should have told it, forget what we were talking about, new subject. But it makes myths and busts the myths about living at Solaire at the Plaza, which is great. So it's not a bad idea if you're marketing something at Solaire at the Plaza. But I was thinking, my point was, if I'm a buyer's agent, let's say put yourself in the shoes of the buyer's agent who's from Windermere or Winter Park or somewhere else that doesn't know downtown, but you want to show something downtown. Well, you got to show it, right? So let's find out everything we can. What can AI help us with on, so we know about this place. But I didn't do that because it didn't change subjects completely. It's still thinking about myth busting videos. So condos lack amenities. So there's got a pool, fitness center, and lounge that screams luxury. Condos aren't secure. Nope. 24/7 concierge and biometric access keep you safe. So it did look up all this stuff about Solaire and puts it into this. Except from arts, dining, blah, blah, blah. So this is all stuff it picked up about the Solaire just from articles or whatever people are saying about it. So it's really cool. There's not much it can't do except meet you there and let you in the building and tell you which one smells like cat pee.
Will it tell you on what side building to live on so that you don't hear the boom boom every night from the bars?
Of course not.
There you go.
So they don't have a myth about that. So yeah, that's the kind of thing you need to know. Which reminds me, so this is a great example. I don't know if any of you guys know the Harris chain up by Mount Dora, but on that chain on Lake Dora, right across from downtown Mount Dora, there is what they call a sandbar. Of course, lakes don't have sandbars, but it's a part that's built up where it's 3 feet of water. And there will be on a Saturday or Sunday, hundreds of boats there. They just moor up there and they get out and they drink beer and throw frisbees and do whatever else that people do. It is less than 100 yards off of people's backyards on this lake that they paid millions of dollars for. Now, if you showed that property on a Tuesday afternoon, they'd say, what a beautiful property this is. Look how great it is. Or anytime in the winter, what a beautiful view. What a great lake. It's awesome. If you show it at Saturday at 2 p.m., next Saturday, or go on Memorial Day and show it, it is going to be chaos and loud. People are cranking their radios, doing all kinds of stuff. AI would not know that. But anyone who lived in that area would know that because they've been out there making noise before. So that's a great example as well of things that AI could not protect you from that an actual realtor could. So that's interesting. I always wonder when they sold those. There's 5 or 6 houses that are greatly impacted by that, and I always wonder how they were sold and how happy those people were their first weekend when if they bought it in the winter or they bought it. They only saw it on a Tuesday and decided to move in and then saw that following week. Any other questions on this stuff? I hope you guys will do this. So when you do this stuff, it also gives you, I told you guys this before, it gives you 25 web pages that pulled the Solaire information from. So amenities, fees, Urbanista, it pulled it from different listings, different things, homes.com, highrises.com, Walmart contracting, property management, condos for sale from different companies, Condomania, etc. Yelp, pulled from Yelp, Condo Critic. So it pulls now, so I can dive deeper into it myself if I want to know more about the Solaire, right? If I'm an agent going to go show down there, I can do that. I can click on this. I don't know if you guys are going to see this unless I share it. Here we go. So I just Orlando Condo Critic, and here's all the stuff that it'll give you on this. All right. So just an example. All right, guys. Any other questions before we go on anything? Tammy Pipkin.
I went to order a sign this week and it said 0 in stock.
From the sign guy?
Uh-huh. I did a note. I said, hey, can you, I'm sure everybody's got a ton of listings and the signs are pretty slim pickings, maybe. But anyway, I got a confirmation he was putting it up, but I was like, can you get with Brian to get more signs? Because it said 0 when I went to order it.
I haven't heard that. We'll get some too. We have tons in the office. We're good to go in the office.
Unless that was just a fluky thing. I've never even seen that before. So maybe that didn't even mean anything.
He has a lot. I don't know, but maybe they're all out. I don't know.
Yeah.
You guys make sure that you're calling them back in when you sell something. Because otherwise he's going to get on you he's going to want to charge you for leaving his post out there. That's part of our agreement. And we're going to lose signs, which are $30 a piece. So, but his posts are more than that. Malvis.
Real quick, Ryan, refresh my memory, please. I'm going to show some properties in Ocala on Saturday. Do I need, and I don't have Supra box. I already checked the MLS. Some of the homes are on Supra. Do I just call them or to have access to those properties, or do I have to become part of any other association or MLS in order to access those keys? I don't remember.
You can get a code. You can call the listing agent and get a code. No, you definitely
With
have to join.
with Supra keys don't have codes.
They'll have a temporary thing they can send you. You're going to have to download the app. Or you should
Oh yeah, I have the app. Yes, the CMC or the CF whatever. Yes, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. Talk to their board. You might have to get your app turned on through their board. I don't know how. Does anybody know about that? For Christina, do you know about that? Some of you guys still have.
Yes,
like,
I just did like a reciprocal thing through, or I did something with Osceola, like where they're allowing me to just have membership through Osceola, because it's the same thing I think with Century, where you can download the app, they can give you a code. I just have it through Osceola, and you know, and you can get access that way. They have a way that you can just join them just for that.
Okay, I'll call them.
Yeah,
The Osceola Realtor Association.
Yeah, Osceola's
Yes.
doing it. West Volusia's doing it. I still have Supra through West Volusia, but
Okay.
it was the same deal. It's still the $18 a month or something. But I think they can do a one. This is going on a lot with Orlando agents trying to look at any of their surrounding board listings. You know, anything in Osceola or Lake or Volusia, places like that. So yes, it's happening. Or in this case, Marion.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Yes, Daryl.
And on my listings now, I put on a combo lockbox and I put on a central lockbox. So it makes it easy for everyone. I do that automatically now because you got other agents from other counties wanting to show your listings, and I'm not going to, give them a hassle. Make it nice and easy.
You know what, Daryl? That's going to give people heart attacks that you're making your property so insecure, but people don't remember that we functioned like that for a long time. And as long as people aren't just giving out the code willy-nilly to their buyers, then it's not a problem. And we have such half-hearted agents in some places now, although those are going by the wayside, like you guys said you wanted them to, that they're too busy to show properties and they give their buyers the codes, or they're in another part of the state and they give the buyers a code. That happens a lot. They'll say, "Hey, I'm down in Miami," and they'll say, "I'm going to show it this weekend," and then they don't. They just give it out to their friend or whomever the buyer is. But we function like that for a long time with very little incident, and so it shouldn't be going on anymore. I know it. I'm sure it still does, but it shouldn't be. But that happens. Yes, I'm with you on the combo lock boxes. There was nothing wrong with them. It was the whole thing's a money grab. Nothing wrong with them if people are ethical. Any other questions? Which we all are, because we signed a paper that says we would be ethical realtors. Anybody else? Yes, Juan.
I don't know if you have experience on this, but do you happen to know if there's a type of document or contract where you can sell seller finance without giving title until it's paid off?
But yeah, you have an attorney do that. We don't need to be doing that.
But there is
There's not a form for it. There's not a FAR form for it.
Okay, all right. I know that traditional sell by seller finance where the deed gets transferred and then there's a note and the whole thing, but I wasn't sure if there's one that you keep the property and it's paid off. But all right, just thought about asking. Thanks.
Okay, that was a good question. I mean, it's a rent to own that never. Yeah, it's a rent to own.
That's basically how I see it, but I heard somebody says that it wasn't a rent to own, that there was some sort of, I don't know, but anyways, if I find out, I'll share with you guys.
I don't know that there's definitely not a FAR form for it, but it's and it's a rent to own, but the buyer is very unprotected. I mean, that's what I really don't like that.
Yeah.
So they'd have to get, if I were on the buying side, I'd definitely want this all in writing.
Yep.
From an attorney. My attorney would have to review it too. In fact, the buyer should be the one having the attorney create the document, because there's no reason for the seller to go through that expense and not accept the deal. All right. Any other questions? All right. Let me know if there are anything that you need after this, but right now is the time to ask your questions before we go, and I will see you next week. Keep up the great work. Guys, use this AI stuff. get in there and do it. And Natalie, I'm excited about your open houses. Guys, we've had people trying to work open houses. I don't know what success they've had doing it, but I've seen them on our Facebook site. If you guys want to work open houses, awesome. People are working them. Those of you who have put them on there, hopefully people are working them. Great. Love to see that. And that is it's come back around to being a good way to find people now. So that's great. All right, guys. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.